everyone, Di here from Di Stand. How are you doing? This week I would like to show you how to make this card. I actually really enjoyed doing it. This piece here was inspired by a card that I made, which I'll show you. It is here, which shows a casing of a card that Dawn Griffiths made. And I absolutely loved it, but I wanted to use some of this beautiful paper as well, so I thought I would step it up a little bit and turn it around a little bit, I guess you would say. So this is the card we're going to make today. So let's pop this card out the way. Let's find somewhere to put it. Oh my goodness, my table's so far. And this is it. So on the inside I have put "May your birthday be memorable" and a couple of pineapples, so that we can all think about having a beautiful holiday. Now this, I'm not as happy with my boat here, so I've actually done it, the boat again, but I've actually done it as if it's a silhouette. So let me show you what sets we're going to use to make this card. So let's pop that card out of the way as well for now. Okay, there's a lot of sets I'm going to be using in this. I'm going to use the Timeless Tropicals for the "May your birthday be memorable" and "Rest and relax, you deserve it." Excuse me. Along with the palm trees and the pineapple. I'm going to use the waterfront set just for this mountain here. I'm going to use the high tide set for my ocean here. This is an optional one, but I'm just going to use this one called Mountain Air for the clouds. And then I'm going to use the Sailing Home set for the small sailboat and the die to cut it out with, which is over here. Okay, so that's all of those. We are going to use a 1-inch circle punch for our sun here, and let's pop that up there now. And then I'll go through all the colours of the inks we're going to use. We're going to actually use quite a lot. So we're going to use our Memento, and we're going to use Pumpkin Pie, Daffodil Delight, Rich Raspberry, Early Espresso, Smoky Slate, and Seaside Spray, along with some Versamark and clear embossing powder. Whoops, that's got a price on the bottom of that one. Clear embossing powder. We're going to use some sponges, because we're going to sponge. If you haven't got sponges, if you've got daubers, that's fine, you can use those. So, and a bit of repositionable tape. That's just so that we can pop our sun on there, and it's easy to remove. So let's go through all the bits we need, which is not a lot for this. It sounds like very daunting because there's so many different colours and things, but the rest of it is really easy. So we're going to need a card base that measures 8 1/4 by 5 7/8, along with a designer series paper. This comes from the Tropical Designer Series paper, and this measures 5 5/8 by 3 7/8. Then we're going to need another layer in the Early Espresso again, and that measures 4 1/2 by 2 3/4, along with a white layer that measures 4 by 2 1/4, a sentiment tag that measures 2 3/8 by 7/8 of an inch, and then my insert that measures 5 5/8 by 3 7/8, and a piece of scrap just to do cut our circle out for our sun and to do our boat, which I've already done. So but I will show you how to do that. Now the only other thing you're going to need is a few blender pens, but that's there optional. If you've got markers, you can use markers instead. I'm using the Dark Mango Melody, the Dark Granny Apple Green, and the Light Basic Black. So they're all our bits, so let's get cracking and we can then do this. So we're going to start by scoring our main card at the 4 1/8, which is the first mark after the 4 on your scoreboard, and that's all the scoring we're going to do. So we're going to score that. We're going to fold and burnish it out of the way so that that's all done. Fold and burnish. So now we might just as well put our designer series paper onto the front, so that's out of the way. I lost my little knob, see that? I can't find it anywhere now. I'm going to have trouble getting this out of here because of the glue stuck around it. Teeth are not good, don't use your teeth. Ah, there we go, I used my scissors, which probably not going to do my scissors much good either. Let's move that bit of glue from around there and pop that in the bin, and we will glue our piece of designer paper onto, there we go, here it comes, onto the front of our card. And that's virtually all the bits we're going to glue on for a bit. So when we're happy with that, we can put that out the way. And what we're going to do next is we're going to bring in our smallest piece of the layers, which is layer 3, which measures 4 inches by 2¼ inches here. And we're going to do our Versamark and our early espresso. So you're going to have to bear with me a little bit because I don't have enough blocks, so I have to move things from one block to another. So let's start off by putting our embossing buddy over this so that we get rid of any sticky fingerprints or get rid of all the static. And I'm going to pop this onto a piece of paper and open my early espresso if I can. There we go. Along with my Versamark, and I'm going to start by putting the Versamark onto my trees, my palm trees. Once I know that it's actually really Versamarked up, then I'm going to put my early espresso onto it as well, and then I'm going to stamp this onto my piece of card. Now the reason I do it that way is because then I can put my embossing powder over the top and give it a nice little flick off, and put my embossing powder back, and that's got the embossing powder over the top, so it looks really nice. So now I'm going to do my mountains in exactly the same way, so that I only need to use my my heat gun once. So there we go, that's on there too, and pop the embossing powder over the top of that. And we'll pop that away. So let's pop the lid on these things so we don't get them everywhere. And put the embossing powder away. And we'll bring in the heat gun and heat emboss these. Now if you don't want to heat emboss, you don't have to. You could just do these in either Memento or the early espresso, but I just wanted to have that real rich look. And I didn't want the Memento because I didn't want it to be black. Okay, so let's move this. Oh, let's turn that over. We can use this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to using our Daffodil Delight and our Daffodil Delight sponge. Now what I did, these sponges, they come in a circle, and they're sold from Stampin' Up, and you cut them into quarters, and then if you write the name of it, the ink that you're going to use onto here, and just staple it to it, you know what this sponge has been used for. Plus the fact that it keeps your fingers a bit easier on as well. I still manage to get plenty of ink on me, but that's just me. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pop this onto our Daffodil Delight, and where I want my sun is where I'm going to do a really big deep colour, and then I'm going to do down here where I want my colour as well, as if it's the shading. So once I've done that, I can see where I want my ocean. So, oh, excuse my nose, I've got an itchy nose. I'm going to now use my smoky slate along with my ocean, and I'm going to, underneath my mountain, I'm going to put my ocean all the way down the picture. And now you can see that that's where the sun's going to shine. So that's looking really good. That's all we need the smoky slate for. So let's pop that one out of the way. And now, oh, I've got an itchy nose, I'll tell you. I'm going to then use my Seaside spray. Some people do that. Oh, look, they do open, but this is really a hard one for me, this one. And my Seaside spray sponge, and I'm going to just sponge the ocean very lightly, because a lot of it will be covered again. So in a sort of a circle-y motion, I guess, just to give it a bit of colour. Doesn't need much. There we go, that looks beautiful, and that's all we need that colour for. Okay, excuse me, I've got a funny throat this morning. I'm going to cut out my sun using my 1-inch circle, and I'm going to put a bit of repositionable tape on here, and I'm going to pop this over my yellow piece here. So that's my sun, and I'm then going to bring in my pumpkin pie. And let's move those two sponges out of the way because I don't need them not at the present time anyway. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing again. So I'm going to then run around my sun in a circular motion, and all around the rest of my picture in the same way. Just turn my picture around. I'm going to bring some of this colour down into the water so that it looks like when you have a sunset, you get those like more shadowy sections. So when you're happy with the way that's looking like that, you can then pop your pumpkin pie away, and then we will bring in our rich raspberry. And we will do the same again. This time you don't want a real lot of colour on there, so you can bring off some of that colour. It's always better if you put a little bit on, and then you can always put more on, but you can't take it off. It depends on how juicy your pad is to what your image will come out like. Now I'm really happy with the way that's turned out, so I'm going to then put my lid on that one and remove my my circle, which will give me a beautiful sun which I'll just pop that over there out of the way for now. So that is my image. Let's turn it this way so you can see that's my image. And as you can see, this looks like the sun behind the trees down here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, let's move that bit of paper, we don't need that. I'm going to bring in my scrap and I'm going to stamp in my memento wherever I put it. Oh, there it is. I'm going to stamp in my memento my boat, my sailboat. So let's just pop him up here because I will cut him out and give him to my mum. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my pumpkin pie, my rich raspberry and my daffodil delight to sponge all around him. So that he actually blends in with the picture. Okay, and when you're happy with the way he looks, we will then bring in our light basic black and we will actually just colour in his sails. And the base of his boat, so that he is like a silhouette as well. Now I'm not really happy the way that one went there. There looks like a bit of a line there, so we'll just give that a bit of a over the top. And then using the die from the set, we will cut him out. As I've already done that, as you can see, we will then pop that piece out of the way and I will actually, as always, give that to my mum. So we're going to put on here, I'll get the small ones, some dimensions. And I'm going to then pop him onto my picture. So let's bring my picture back in. Oh, that one didn't come off with this because I still don't have a nail. And we can pop him into our picture wherever we would like him to be. And I think he looks just nicely just there. Then we're going to mount him onto our other card with a bit of glue. So he's going to go onto his own mat with a bit of glue. And let's use my trusty to stick him down. And then I'm going to use some more. I haven't got any of the large dimensions, so we are going to have to use these non-Stampin' Up ones today. And he's then going to go onto the front of our card. So I'm going to pop him onto the front of the card. Now I'm going to put him on an angle. The other one I put this angle. I'm going to put this one this way. I only did that because I wanted to make it look as if it's sticking out a bit. So that is personal. It's up to you. So now we're going to find, oh, I didn't put any clouds on there. Never mind. It just goes to prove we don't need clouds. I'm going to use my Rest, Relax, You Deserve It. I'm going to use my Early Espresso ink. Let's pop that on there nice and straight. And I'm going to stamp that onto my sentiment tag. And let's move that away. And bring in my sponges again. And I'm going to, I might just need a little bit more yellow on this one. I'm going to then, I should have put it on my other piece of paper, wherever that went. Oh, here we go. never mind. I'm going to just sponge it all around because I think that for me it just needs to be sponged. Take that stark white look of. A bit more pumpkin pie. Just to give that sunset glow to it. And I think there's probably plenty of rich raspberry on this one because my rich raspberry seems to be very, very juicy compared to the others. And once you're happy with the way that's looking too, we can then put a few more dimensions on the back of this. Now I'm going to put 2 on this, one up this end and one at about the 3/4 mark because it's going to sit on the edge of that. So. And that is going to be the front of my card done. How does that look so far? So now we're just going to bring in our insert and we're going to put our happy birthday inside. And I'm going to stamp that with my, oops, upside down, my early espresso, along with 2 pineapples, which I'm going to stamp down in this bottom corner like so. And once I'm happy with that, I'll pop the lid back on this so it's just I don't get ink on everything else. And then I'm going to just colour those in with my Mango Melody and my Granny Apple Green. So I'm not doing any shading because I don't think that we really need to do that on such a small image as it's on the inside of the card. With the early espresso ink, it also looks as if that's how it's supposed to be because pineapples are sort of a browny colour and a yellowy colour. So I didn't think that we needed to blend them. So if you don't have blender pens and you've only got marker pens, that's fine. It will look just as good. I don't know what that humming noise is. I don't know if you can hear it. Okay, so that's our insert done. We're just going to pop some glue onto our insert. And I'll pop my pin in the top again. And pop this into the inside of our card. And that's our card. I just think he looks gorgeous. I'm actually really happy with the way he turned out. I'll just pop that a bit more. I'm really happy with the way that turned out. There's my original one. He's facing the opposite way. I think I'm not sure whether I like the silhouetted one more than the other one now. It's a personal choice. The 2 cards look gorgeous anyway. This one has clouds, this one doesn't. I don't think, again, I think that's a personal thing. If you want to put the clouds in, you can. If you don't, you don't have to. If you don't want to colour your boat in, like I haven't done in this one, or if you want to colour it in so it looks silhouetted the same. With the 2 versions there, this one is done with the early espresso that has been embossed. This one was done with the early espresso that wasn't embossed. This one, they stand out more, but I think it's a personal choice thing. So I hope you've enjoyed this week's card. If you would like to purchase any of these products, please give me a call, an email or a PM. I can only help you if you live in Australia, but if you live in any other part of the world and you would like these, please still give me a call, PM, or email and I can put you on to a demonstrator in the US or the UK that can help you. If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment, and I will see you again next week. Bye for now.